Hey everyone, I have another New Age to Jesus Epiphany. The question of the day is, who do you serve? Now, when it comes to New Age, I kind of look back and ask myself this question, because if you're not serving God, who or what are you serving? New Age promotes like ascension, manifestation with the universe. It's more like, this is my reality and I can do what I want with it. With New Age practices, law of attraction, all these demonic influences, we're trying to create our own universe, and that we are the center of the universe in the New Age. There's this concept called the higher self in the New Age. I used to believe this. It's kind of, I don't know, matrixy. It's, imagine like right now, it's like the year 2025, whoever I am right now, my higher self, maybe 20, 30, 40 years in the future, that I've already lived out those 20, 30, 40 years and is advising me from the future, or a higher dimension of things and who I am, things I've already done. So I'm just trying to align myself with that in the New Age. Now, New Age ultimately is very selfish. It's very self-oriented. If you don't have a God-centered universe, if you don't have a God to guide you, if you have no principles, godly principles to guide you, no ultimate truth guiding you, then what do you have to replace it with? Because we're all looking to truth. But if we're not following the ultimate truth, we have to align ourselves with a personal truth, whatever our best option is maybe at the time. So, even though inherently we know what is right and wrong, God puts his laws in our hearts, that with free will, we ultimately have to choose to believe in him and the godly morality, a godly truth. But New Age really promotes self. And it's not just the self-love and self-care movement, it's become a self-worship movement. If you go back to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, Satan as the snake didn't tell Eve, hey, like, worship me. What did he do? He got them to worship themselves. The whole point of eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was to become like God. That was the original sin. It wasn't choosing evil, it was choosing self. And that's really what the New Age movement has become. It's a Christ consciousness counterfeit. Instead of believing in Christ himself, the counterfeit, the replacement is energy, Christ-like energy, which is not the same as Christ, but with the illusion that you have a Christ consciousness, you have some sort of barometer of good, direction to achieve, but ultimately it's yourself. In the New Age, again, with like a law of attraction, manifesting, trying to get what you want when you want it, becoming your best version of yourself, your way. New Age is ultimately self-serving, self-worshipping, self-promoting, and very selfish. And that was one of the epiphanies I came to. Even if you don't believe in God, it's kind of like, if you take a look in the mirror, you can see that all these New Age, even atheistic practices are very just self-soothing, self-soothing, self-reflecting. We call it self-love, but it's really self-worship. I think that's the devil's ultimate deception when it comes to New Age practices. Again, it's not to outwardly worship evil, because we're pretty conscious beings. We do have a barometer for what's right and what's wrong. But if we don't actually have God as our source, our ultimate truth, the Bible as our way of life, it's like we have to make up what we think is right. And ultimately what we think is right is very different than what actually is right. So, just a weird epiphany I had. I wanted to share with y'all that coming to Christ, it's been a journey of Christ being kind enough to me to point out all the selfishness I learned, all the self-worship I learned in New Age, breaking that down and coming to a sense of humility and surrender and service ultimately. And it's been more freeing, actually. Serving Christ is not an enslavement by any means. I know certain Bible translations, Paul calls himself a slave or bondservant of Christ, and it's not a literal translation. It's servant is a ministry, it's all service, and it's a conscious choice to serve. Again, we're not slaves in Christ, but New Age atheism will say, like, hey, you'll have no freedom worshiping God, just worship yourself. The devil just can't outright say, like, hey, worship me, because we're gonna be like, hey, that's obviously a no. But the alternative to God is worshiping self, it seems. So just an epiphany. Thanks for listening.